What's up, guys? Got a lot of feedback from the first video we did on the carburetor rebuild that we continue this through, and I'm not being prejudiced on 250Rs, but I'm working on my bike right now, or my quad in the shed. And when I put it up on the stand, I recognized a problem with my front brakes. Perfect storm. One side had one problem, the other side had the other. So tonight, this will be part one of a 2-series on caliper rebuild. We're going to talk about brakes. So if you guys understand how brakes work, bear with me, because there's people that aren't going to know how brakes work. So we're going to go through a real quick drawing in my artistic venue of how brakes work. So, say this is your master cylinder. This is your brake line. That's your caliper. Your caliper has 2 pistons in it. Could have 1, depending on front or rear. You've got your piston here. Hydraulic fluid does not compress. So as you push your brake lever in, that piston moves this way, forcing the fluid down the line into the caliper, which makes the pistons move out. When you release the brake, the pistons move back in and braking continues. So the problem I had with my quad was I picked it up on the jack on the stand. One tire was almost locked up. The other side would move, but it'd only spin half a turn. There's, like I was saying, there's two failure modes for this, and they each happen on both sides, so that was perfect for this video. What happened on one side, and I've taken the rubbers out of these, so you can go online, get rebuild kits for calipers. They have them for all of our bikes. This bolts to the hub. You can see that the caliper is supposed to slide on the mount. This side was locked up. So what that does is makes your brakes, your pad wears on one side because the caliper can't move. The other side, the pistons were stuck completely in the bores of the caliper. So brake fluid, .4, .5 are hygroscopic, which is a fancy term of saying they will absorb water. If you look close into the caliper, you'll see the corrosion on the dust seal groove. So these are the seals for the caliper that I took out. This is the dust seal, which goes in this first groove. The piston seal goes in the second groove. The power washing, I'm guilty of it, does it. Will force water into this groove, and then it corrodes. So as it corrodes, the seal squeezes down on the piston, which prevents it from moving. But to get these apart is a delicate subject. This is another example of what happens when pistons stick. So these are the pistons from the calipers, right? So this is the contact patch for the pad. Once it gets so hot, because it's constantly getting pressure onto the rotor from the piston not retracting, they deteriorate. You can see that the piston cracked, inside of it fell out. So I gotta get a new piston for this caliper, which will be part 2 of this series because I have not received the parts yet. The new ones come with a metal plate here instead of whatever this material is. But to get these pistons out, there's 2 ways to do it. There's a pneumatic way and a hydraulic way. I'd never use hydraulic way because you waste a ton of fluid. So what I mean by hydraulic way is you leave your brake line hooked up, keep your reservoir full, and you pump the brakes till the pistons come out. I'm anal with my bikes. I use expensive brake fluid, so I don't ever do it. Take the brake line off. I use pneumatics to get the pistons out, but you have to be careful with it. So you got your pistons. I took the seals out of this already, so the pistons will go in. Maybe. Let's not use a bad one. What you have here when you put air to this is a double barrel shotgun, literally. So I do it in steps. I put the old brake pads in here, apply air into the supply from your reservoir, and bump the pistons out gradually. Once they get to the first pad, take that one out, bump them to the next pad, take that one out, set a rag under it, hit them again until they both come out. If you don't do those steps, one will stick, one will come out, and then you're screwed. Because you got one that's stuck that won't come out. Do it in steps gradually as they come out. What I was saying about the corrosion, this is the one that had the failure because of the, see that? That's the, that's the corrosion from the water being in the brake fluid. So what I found is the best bet is to use a 90-degree pick like this and just scrape it out. And then once I get the new seals and get the new pistons, I'll show you guys how to put this back together. Isn't that sweet? That's not crack, you can't snort that. So anyways, we were successful on the first video for showing you guys how to rebuild carbs. I'm gonna be doing a lot of these. My 250Rs under the shop right now, I've got a request for doing rebuild on front forks for normal forks, not inverted. Normal forks, it'll be found on 200X, 250R, 350X, three-wheelers. So that'll be in the works. We got a lot of stuff to do. So if you guys appreciate what I'm doing here with sharing my experiences and my knowledge with you, subscribe and hit me a like. Stay tuned.